You know that feeling, that real twist in your gut, heart kind of pounding, when you're right on the edge of something uncertain,
Mm-hmm.
something where you know you could mess up or get hurt, maybe feel like you're just not cutting it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just so uncomfortable. It feels excruciatingly complicated sometimes.
Yeah.
Makes you just want to, back away,
Yeah.
maybe opt out altogether.
Right. And that feeling, that really intense sensation, that's what the sources we're digging into today call vulnerability.
Uh-huh.
And our mission here, really, in this deep dive, is to pull from the research, the experiences in this material, and just unpack what vulnerability actually is.
Okay.
Understand why we fight it so hard, and maybe see how leaning into it, into that discomfort, could actually, well, change things. Our lives, connections, even work.
It feels like something that touches pretty much everyone. And yeah, the material looks really rich. So where do we start? I guess the common idea is vulnerability equals weakness, right?
That's exactly it. That's the big misconception. And the sources really push back hard on that. Okay.
They argue, pretty forcefully actually, that vulnerability isn't weakness. Not at all. The definition they offer is.
Mm.
It's more about understanding that winning and losing, victory and defeat, they're both just part of it.
Part of the journey.
Yeah. It's about engaging, like really being all in.
Being all in, even when you know it might not work out. That feels risky.
It is risky. It definitely involves uncertainty and risk and emotional exposure. But that's the key point the sources make. That's not the same as being weak.
It's different.
It's pretty much the opposite. It's about courage. Think about that amazing quote, the one about the person in the arena.
Oh, yeah, the Roosevelt one. Covered in dust and sweat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Striving, maybe failing, but failing while daring greatly. That's the spirit. That's the essence of vulnerability they're talking about.
That really paints a picture, doesn't it? Stepping in, knowing you might fall flat on your face, but doing it anyway. Daring greatly.
Precisely.
Okay, so if it's actually about courage, about being all in, why does it feel so awful sometimes? Why do we resist it so much? Great question. And the sources point pretty clearly to one major reason: shame.
Ah, shame. Not guilt, which is about what we did, but shame. That's
Yeah.
about who we are, right?
You got it. The research defines shame as this deep fear of disconnection, that horrible gut-level feeling that something about us, something we did or failed to do, or just makes us fundamentally unworthy
Unworthy of connection.
of belonging.
Exactly. Unworthy of love. And this feeling, this fear, it gets massively fueled by something the sources call scarcity.
Scarcity, like not having enough.
Yeah, but more pervasive. Think about that never enough list they talk about. Does that ring a bell for you?
Oh, man. Yeah. Never good enough, never perfect enough, thin enough, rich enough, smart enough, safe enough. Ugh, it's exhausting just thinking about it. That constant feeling of falling short.
Right. It's brutal. And Lynn Twist's idea of scarcity being the great lie fits perfectly here. She
Yeah.
talks about how we wake up thinking, I didn't get enough sleep or I don't have enough time.
Before you even get out of bed. Before your feet hit the floor. You're already operating from not enough. And that state, that constant internal lack, is just fertile ground for shame to grow.
And the research mentions differences, right? How shame shows up maybe differently for men and women.
It does. It highlights some common patterns anyway. For men, a really common trigger is that message, don't be weak.
Right. The societal pressure.
Yeah. So when that feeling of vulnerability hits inadequacy, fear, whatever, if a man hasn't built up what the sources call shame resilience, it can feel totally intolerable. The common reactions described are, well, getting pissed off or shut down.
Pushing it away, trying to regain control.
Exactly. Whereas for women, it's often about these double binds.
Conflicting messages like, be ambitious, but not too aggressive.
Precisely. Be perfect, but make it look easy. Be sexy, but be modest. Be independent, but always available. It's this impossible tightrope.
Wow, no wonder it breeds shame. You're basically set up to fail one expectation or another.
Constantly. It's exhausting and leaves women incredibly vulnerable to feeling like they're never getting it right.
Okay, so this deep fear of shame, powered by scarcity, makes vulnerability feel super dangerous. So naturally, we try to protect ourselves, we build shields.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, shields. And the first big one the sources discuss is numbing.
Numbing, like checking out.
Pretty much. If the feelings, the pain, anxiety, disconnection, that sting of not being enough are too intense, the easiest way out often feels like just dulling them.
And it's not just the obvious stuff, right? Like drugs or alcohol. The sources mention subtler things.
Oh, yeah. Overwork is a huge one. Just staying constantly busy, scrolling endlessly online, even using food or maybe just one too many glasses of wine to take the edge off.
Yeah.
Anything to avoid feeling those raw emotions.
Let's try to escape that feeling of instability, that not enough anxiety.
Exactly. Numbing offers this temporary relief, but of course it doesn't actually solve anything long term.
Then there's this other metaphor, serpentining. That sounds intriguing.
Isn't that great? Serpentining. It comes from a movie scene, apparently, and it captures that whole zigzagging thing we do.
Zigzagging.
Yeah, like trying to twist and turn and control your way around vulnerability instead of just facing it, darting back and forth, trying to outsmart the discomfort.
Like avoiding that difficult conversation or trying to manage everyone's perceptions so you don't look bad.
Totally. And the sources point out it's incredibly draining. And honestly, usually less effective than just dealing with the thing head on. Vulnerability often needs you to move through it.
Right. Can't really dodge it forever. Okay, what about the more aggressive shields? Cynicism, criticism.
Ah, yes. Cynicism, criticism, coolness, even cruelty. These aren't just protective, they can be offensive weapons.
How so?
Well, you use cynicism or criticism to keep things at arm's length. Oh, that's dumb. Or picking apart someone else who is trying, who is being vulnerable.
Because their vulnerability makes you uncomfortable.
Often, yes. Or sometimes it's preemptive, I'll hurt you before you hurt me. Or adopting that cool, detached persona, I'm above it all, nothing touches me.
And you can build those shields with status, right? Titles,
Mhm.
degrees, even just acting like you don't care.
Absolutely. It's all a defense against feeling exposed or inadequate.
There's one more behavior mentioned that looks like vulnerability,
Hmm.
but isn't. Oversharing.
Yes. Crucial distinction, oversharing. They call it floodlighting or sometimes smash and grab.
Bloodlighting. Sounds dramatic.
It kind of is. It's when someone dumps way too much information, often really personal stuff, too quickly, but it's not about genuine connection.
What's the motive then?
It could be trying to make themselves feel better, like unloading, or testing loyalty. If you stick around after this, you must really care.
Yeah.
Or trying to force intimacy that hasn't been earned yet.
And how do people usually react to that?
Predictably, they pull back. They feel overwhelmed, uncomfortable. It pushes people away, which ironically reinforces the very disconnection the person was probably trying to fix.
So it backfires. True vulnerability builds connection. Floodlighting breaks it.
Precisely. You can't really weaponize vulnerability like that.
Okay, so if numbing, serpentining, criticizing, floodlighting,
Mm-hmm.
if these shields don't work, if they just keep us stuck, what is the path forward? How do we actually connect?
Well, the sources are really clear on this. Vulnerability is the path.
The very thing we're trying to avoid.
Exactly. And dealing with the shame that makes vulnerability feel so dangerous is key. And the antidote to shame, empathy.
Empathy. Just feeling with someone.
Yes, it's like a ladder out of that shame hole. When you're stuck down there feeling isolated and worthless, empathy is the voice that says, hey, you're not alone.
That's powerful. Just knowing someone else gets it.
Which leads to this idea of shame resilience. Building the ability to recognize shame when it shows up, move through it, and come out the other side still feeling worthy.
How do you build that? What are the steps?
The sources lay out a few key things. First, just understanding shame, how it works, what your personal triggers are. Then, developing critical awareness, recognizing the societal messages that fuel shame.
Like the never enough stuff.
Exactly. And then, crucially, reaching out, speaking your shame, talking honestly about it.
Bringing it out of the shadows. There's that image, right? Like shining light on gremlins.
That's the one. Shame thrives in secrecy. When you name it, talk about it, share your story, it starts to lose its power.
So, practicing shame resilience, embracing vulnerability. This leads towards what the sources call wholehearted living.
Yes. Living a life where you feel worthy of love and belonging. And, maybe surprisingly, a big part of that involves boundaries.
Boundaries. That seems almost opposite to vulnerability, which feels like being open.
It sounds like it, right? But think about it. To say no, or that's not okay, or I need, to set a boundary, you have to believe you're worthy of setting that boundary.
I see. Shame gets in the way.
Totally. Those shame gremlins whisper, who are you to ask for that? Or for men, just suck it up. For women, don't be difficult, just be nice.
So setting a boundary is actually an act of vulnerability itself. You're putting your needs out there, risking pushback.
Exactly right. And here's another fascinating connection the research makes. Vulnerability and joy.
Vulnerability and joy. How do those two connect?
It seems counterintuitive, but the argument is You can't fully experience joy if you're constantly armored up against the possibility of things going wrong. To let joy in, you have to be vulnerable to its potential loss.
Okay, I think I get that feeling when things are going really well, maybe too well, and you start waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes, that's exactly it. The sources call it foreboding joy.
Foreboding joy. Wow, that nails it.
It's driven by that scarcity mindset again. This is too good to last. And the antidote they suggest, gratitude.
Gratitude. How does that help?
By actively practicing gratitude, focusing on appreciating what you have in that joyful moment, it anchors you. It stops you from bracing for disaster and allows you to actually feel the joy, even while acknowledging the inherent vulnerability.
So, like, instead of thinking, oh no, what if this ends? You consciously think, wow, I'm so grateful for this moment right now.
Exactly. They even suggest saying it out loud. When you feel that vulnerability creep in during a happy moment, just pause and say, okay, I'm feeling vulnerable here and I am so grateful for, and name it. It keeps you present with the good stuff.
That's really practical. And these ideas aren't just theories, right? The sources give examples of vulnerability in action, like in relationships.
Absolutely. There's a great example called the sliding door moment.
Sliding door mostly.
Yeah, picture this. A husband walks past the bathroom, sees his wife, looks upset. He has a choice. Sliding door moment. Door 1, keep walking, avoid the awkwardness. Door 2, stop, turn towards her, ask what's wrong, engage with her vulnerability.
In choosing door 2, choosing to engage.
That builds trust. Those small moments of turning towards rather than away from each other's vulnerability, those are the bedrock of strong relationships. Practicing love is practicing vulnerability, showing up with kindness, trust, respect, even when it's tough.
Makes sense. What about in, say, work or leadership roles?
Huge implications there, too. The sources talk about rehumanizing work in education. That means recognizing how scarcity and shame operate in those environments and actively choosing to engage with vulnerability instead.
And they broaden the definition of leader, right? It's not just the CEO.
Right. Anyone who takes responsibility for finding potential in people or processes. That could be a parent, a teacher, a team member, anyone.
And that idea that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes. Powerful reminder. Who we are together, the culture we create, whether it's one of shame or one where vulnerability is okay, that matters more than any plan.
So how does a leader build that kind of culture?
One key strategy mentioned is minding the gap.
Minding the gap.
Looking honestly at the difference between your stated values, what you say you believe in, and your actual practiced values, how people really behave, how things really work.
Oof. That takes courage to admit where you're falling short.
Exactly. It's a vulnerable act for a leader, or any of us, to look at that gap and commit to closing it.
What about feedback? That's always tricky. Feels very vulnerable.
Definitely. And the sources use a great metaphor. Instead of sitting across the table from someone during feedback, like adversaries, try sitting on the same side of the table.
Ah, so you're looking at the problem together.
Precisely. It shifts the whole dynamic. There's even a checklist for engaged feedback. Sit next to them, put the issue out front. Listen, acknowledge their strengths too. Hold them accountable without shaming. Own your part, thank them, and this is key: model vulnerability yourself.
You have to be willing to be vulnerable if you expect it from others. That feels especially true for parenting.
Oh, absolutely. Parenting is called the boldest and most daring adventure in the sources, mainly because you have to model worthiness for your kids. And there's this stark warning about shame leakage.
Shame leakage. Sounds messy, like our own unresolved stuff spills onto them.
That's exactly it. We literally cannot raise kids who are more comfortable with vulnerability or more shame resilient than we are ourselves. They learn it by watching us.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
It is. But there are beautiful examples too, like the mom whose daughter feels left out at recess like the other. Instead of just saying, it'll be okay, the mom shares her own childhood feelings of being left out.
Creating connection through shared vulnerability.
Exactly. Or the other example, the son who calls his mom out for being judgmental when she's feeling down. And her response wasn't defensiveness, it was, thank you for checking on me.
Owning it. Modeling vulnerability and resilience right there.
Yeah. It shows it's possible, even when it's hard.
So ultimately, this isn't about reaching some perfect state of being vulnerable, is it?
Yeah.
It's more ongoing.
Absolutely. The sources stress it's a practice, not a destination. You'll have days you feel like putting the armor back on. You'll stumble. That's part of it.
But maybe it gets easier.
Mm,
Or at least you get better at navigating it.
I think so. And the good news is courage is contagious. When you show up vulnerably, it gives others permission to do the same. seeking help, finding support that's not weakness, that's part of the courageous practice. Vulnerability really does beget vulnerability.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. The big message seems to be vulnerability isn't weakness. It's actually essential. It's uncomfortable, sure, because of shame and that feeling of scarcity of never being enough.
Right, and we build all these shields, numbing, controlling, criticizing, oversharing, to try and protect ourselves from that discomfort.
But those shields actually keep us disconnected. The real path to connection, to courage, to living a fuller life is through embracing vulnerability and building that shame resilience.
Supported by empathy, by setting good boundaries, by practicing gratitude, and just consistently choosing connection.
There was that one line that really stood out. To set down those lists of what we're supposed to be is brave. To love ourselves and support each other in the process of becoming real is perhaps the greatest single act of daring greatly.
That says it all, doesn't it? Showing up as we are, imperfections included. That's where the real strength is found.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening based on all this. Where in your own life might you be serpentining? Where are you using one of those shields instead of maybe stepping into vulnerability?
Or maybe what's just one small step, even a tiny one that feels uncomfortable, that you could take today to simply show up and let yourself be seen just a little bit more.
Something to think about.